Local news, national news, even feel-good news, delivering the topics that are relevant to you.
That's why I listen to Joe. He covers it all.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
I'm so glad you're joining us here tonight on a Tuesday night. The big Republican debate is coming up tomorrow night. So I got a question for you. Here's my question for you. If not Trump, then who? If it's not Donald Trump, who is your second place candidate there? So just imagine a scenario, if you will, under which Donald Trump is not on the ballot. Say Donald Trump never existed in real life, or say that Donald Trump decides he doesn't want to run after all, or say Donald Trump ends up in jail and not qualified for the ballot or whatever. So Donald Trump is the steamroller that is absolutely flattening the competition right now, laying them out. And woe be the person who takes on Donald Trump because he is a juggernaut. And I absolutely get that, but he's not going to be at this debate. He's not going to be at this debate and potentially won't be at any of the debates, any of the GOP primary debates, and potentially not any of the general election debates. It's yet to be determined. So if Donald Trump is not, if he is not in the picture, again, we're just taking a hypothetical here. Who is your candidate? Who do you support? Who are you going to vote for in the primary, again, if not Donald Trump? 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. You can join us in the chat group on the WDBO Facebook page. Cindy says Vivek Ramaswamy. Michael says none of the candidates I would want are not electable in 2023. Sadly, not controversial or pushy enough. That from Michael in the chat group. But let us know right now, 844-580-WDBO. I mentioned last time we talked about presidential politics, I said, you know, after all that Donald Trump has been through, after all of these indictments, many of which are specious, many of which are suspect, sus, as the kids say, many of these indictments just seem political in nature and not really legal or criminal in nature. And I said, oh, to hell with it. Just vote for Donald Trump. I mean, at this point, I mean, he seems like a foregone conclusion he's going to win anyway. But I have long been a Ron DeSantis supporter in this cycle. And I would love to see Ron DeSantis. Honestly, what I would love to see out of Ron DeSantis, I'd love to see him be a better candidate. I wish he was a better candidate. I wish he was doing better. I wish he would stop. I don't want to say self-inflicted wounds because I don't know if it's self-inflicted wounds. He just is not very good at retail politics. He could be, brilliant and wonky and could be great at policy, but he's just not coming off as likable on the campaign trail. And regrettably, likability is an important factor. Y'all know as well as I do. There are plenty of us who go to the polls, we cast our vote for president, and it's very, very deliberate. We have spent time studying the issues. We have been spending time listening to the stump speeches. We have spent time watching and listening to the debates. And we have made calculated decisions on who we want in the White House. And we cast that vote. That's some of us. There are a lot of other people who haven't the slightest idea the difference between a Republican and a Democrat, the left and the right. Believe me, there's plenty of people that vote in presidential elections who could not define key platforms of Democrats and key platforms of Republicans. And they simply vote for someone that they like. So likability is important, and Ron DeSantis is really failing in the likability category. He's doing a terrible job in the likability category. Of the candidates that will be on stage tomorrow night on Fox News, former Vice President Mike Pence, Governor DeSantis, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Senator Tim Scott, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, I can tell you officially that is the first time I've ever said that guy's name. He has never come up in conversation before, so I had to try that out on the air. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
And you got Swami. You got that right, though.
Yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy. And lastly, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. So those are the 8 candidates that are going to be on stage tomorrow night for Fox News. By the way, programming note, let me point this out to you. Things behind the scenes are never as simple as they would appear. We do not have the rights, the broadcast rights, to air the debate from Fox News. So we will not be airing the debate. It's not because we don't want to. Believe me, we want to air the debate. But we will not be airing the debate only because we don't have the rights to air them. When it comes to the general election, we will have the rights to all of the debates in the general election, but the primary debates are different, and it depends on who is broadcasting them. Sometimes we automatically have the rights to a debate. Sometimes we don't automatically have the rights to a debate. Sometimes we don't have any rights to a debate. Sometimes we are able to negotiate into a debate. As the case is in this circumstance, we did not have the ability to negotiate into the debate, and we do not have the rights to air the debate. So, regrettably, you will not be hearing the debate on WDBO tomorrow night. And if you're asking me what radio station is it going to be on, honestly, I am not aware of any radio stations other than WDBO. As far as I know, we're the only radio station that is even broadcasting. I'm told we have like 4 or 5 sister stations in the same building. I see other radio hosts from other stations, but I'm only aware of WDBO. I'm very myopic like that. I don't listen to other radio stations. I have no idea. But you'll certainly be able to see it on the Fox News channel. Probably not going to be on the local networks, because it's going to be on the Fox News channel. And again, it comes down to who has the broadcast rights. And I would imagine most of the local TV channels don't have the rights. Michael in the chat group writes that DeSantis has a Lord Farquaad quality to him. He does have a Lord Farquaad quality to him, in part because he's short, Ron DeSantis is, and he wears high-heeled boots, cowboy boots, with heels to make him a little bit taller. But he does have a bit of a Lord Farquaad quality to him. Farquaad, that, of course, being from Shrek, right? He was in the Shrek universe?
Yep.
Yeah.
He has that Napoleon complex.
Yeah, kind of short. That is the one complex I've never had. I've got every other complex. I just don't have that one. I'm 6'2", so I don't have that particular complex, but I've got all the rest of the complexes. So let us know, 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. If not Donald Trump, who is your second choice? Who would you vote for if not Donald Trump?
I believe that majority of Trump supporters are DeSantis supporters, so they'd probably all switch to DeSantis. However, even if Trump was in prison, I think he still qualifies to run for president. I haven't ever seen anything that says you can't.
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned that, because there's a bunch of scholars, and if you're watching the chat group right now, the video, I'm going to use the finger quotes on scholars. There's a bunch of legal scholars that are saying that he is already disqualified. Trump is already disqualified and can't run. That is absolute garbage. I'm not a lawyer, but that is absolute garbage. Unless and until, you know, and this would ultimately have to come down, I would imagine, to the Supreme Court to decide whether or not Donald Trump is going to be eligible. But yes, there is a scenario under which Donald Trump could be behind bars and still be president. And, you know, the chaos part of Joe Kelley, if I can speak of myself in third person, the chaos part of Joe Kelley would like to see that happen. Not that I necessarily want to see Donald Trump behind bars. I would just like to see how in the hell the leader of the free world can be behind bars. And as has been discussed, if he is locked up in Georgia if that case doesn't get moved to federal court, if the Fulton County case stays in Fulton County and he gets locked up in Georgia, he cannot pardon himself. He could pardon himself. It is believed he could pardon himself. I don't believe it's been done, but he could pardon himself in a federal case, but he cannot pardon himself in a state case because the federal government has no standing. By the way, Jude writes in our chat group that WOKV doesn't have the debate either. I actually think WOKV will have the debate. WOKV is our sister station in Jacksonville. And they are a Fox affiliate. And so they should then have the rights to air that. So if you're not going to listen to WDBO, then stream WOKV from Jacksonville. I do believe that they will have the debate. Could be wrong. I just talked to several of their staff members earlier today on a call, and I didn't ask because it didn't cross my mind at the time. We were discussing other things at the time. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. If not Donald Trump, who's your next choice for the GOP nomination? We'll get more of your calls, comments coming up in just a few minutes. Coming up next on the Joe Kelley Show, all the stories that you missed today while you were at work. We'll have that for you coming up next.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk.
The stories that you missed while you're at work today. This is terrible. We've heard so much about the fire in Maui. There's been a fire in northeastern Greece. 18 burned bodies found in a remote area in northeastern Greece where wildfires have been raging for days. Of course, 18 deaths in Greece pales in comparison to, what could be, 1,000 deaths in Maui once it's all said and done, regrettably, as there are still a whole lot of people that are unaccounted for. Fox Business reported 8 hours ago that President Biden is bailing out more student loan borrowers even after the Supreme Court had rejected his power to do so, which is curious. It's a real head scratcher as to how Biden is able to do that, even though the Supreme Court says he doesn't have the right to do so. You can certainly share your thoughts that more of your money, more of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars, you're driving home right now to get home to your kids and to your family and to your couch and to your comfortable bed and a warm meal, and you've put in a really long, hard day, and part of that day was to pay for somebody else's college loans that you didn't benefit from. How do you feel about that? 844-580-WDBO, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. 8 hours ago, CNN reported that Scott Hall is the first Trump co-defendant to turn himself into the Fulton County Jail to face criminal charges in the election interference case. I am thrilled to tell you that Donald Trump says he's going to turn himself in on Thursday. Why am I thrilled? Because his deadline is Friday, and I was fearful that he was going to turn himself in on Friday. We would have a lot of breaking news on Friday. Well, Friday we have plans because that is going to be our Make-A-Wish-a-thon all day Friday, and the last thing I wanted personally was big breaking news on Friday, so I'm hoping that we don't have any kind of big breaking news on Friday. So Trump will turn himself in on Thursday for that particular one. 7 hours ago, the Associated Press reported that the first 2 children have been rescued from a cable car in Pakistan that had been dangling for hours in a remote area, an operation underway to rescue the remaining 4 children and 2 men that were still trapped inside. That was 7 hours ago. When you see one of these cars, this cable car, it looks like it's one of those things you go to a ski resort or that you're going on some exotic vacation somewhere. These were literally kids going to school on a cable car. Can you imagine having to take a cable car to school every day? That's just wild. Let's see. This came out from Fox News. Tampa Bay stars Wander Franco is now placed on administrative leave as Major League Baseball investigate the shortstop's alleged relationship with underage girls. There's still quite a bit of investigation to be had in that particular case. 6 hours ago, CNN reported that Tropical Storm Harold makes landfall in southern Texas. the first to come ashore in the U.S. in the Atlantic hurricane season so far this year. As we look towards out into the Atlantic and to the Atlantic basin, we do have another five storms that are queuing up, none of which at this point look like they're going to be a threat to Florida. 3 hours ago, we got the great news that all 8 people, including the children, trapped in that cable car dangling over a ravine in Pakistan, have now been rescued. This all after one of the cables snapped, evidently. And finally, 59 minutes ago, CNN had the breaking news that the Teamsters Union votes overwhelmingly in favor of a 5-year contract with UPS, avoiding a potentially damaging strike. So forget about all that talk about a UPS strike. It ain't going to happen, evidently, as they have now struck a deal on this. 844-580-WDBO, 844-580-9326, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. Question for you is, if Donald Trump is not going to be on the debate stage tonight, if Donald Trump, let's say hypothetically, wasn't a candidate for you, who is next in line? Who are you going to support?
I think that Kennedy would be okay from the Democrat side. Even Nikki from the Republican side, I think she's doing great. Ron DeSantis, big flop, big fail. He's made too many people mad and not doing so hot, taking care of his own state.
I honestly don't understand how you could say both Kennedy and Nikki Haley are good candidates because they have such polar opposite ideology.
Joe, you should be on the radio telling everyone the difference between Democrats and Republicans. You know, actually, it's very simple because Democrats have become the Democratic Communist Party.
All right, 844-580-WDBO, or use the open mic in the WDBO app.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Insightful.
You tell the truth from your point of view.
Entertaining.
Man, that guy is a lot taller than he sounds on the radio.
And engaging.
When we hear you on the radio, it's a good thing.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
All right. I got to say happy birthday to Maximus, handsome young Maximus, 7 years old. And he's a junior listener of WDBO. Maximus, I hope you have an amazing 7th birthday. And thank you so much for listening to WDBO, Maximus. I wish my name was Maximus. What a cool name, Maximus. Max. You think he goes by Max? Maximus. Max. What a great name. What did you say his brother's name was? Laurel, you said his brother's name. Axel?
Axel, yeah.
Maximus and Axel. Golly. And what did I name my kids? Black & Decker. What was I thinking? Not very original now, was it? I named my kids after tools that you used to be able to buy at Sears. Now you can't. They don't even have Sears anymore, I don't think. I don't know. I haven't seen a Sears in a long time. 844-580-WDBO. Mark is in Orlando. You're on the Joe Kelley Show. Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing good, Joe. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
You're coming in loud and clear.
Glad to hear it. Hey, Joe, Governor DeSantis did a great job shepherding us through the whole thing with COVID. But we know that he had a big gaffe during his campaign when he said, quote unquote, monkeyed up, and the candidates, he put himself out there and he got hammered for using language that, any political consultant would have told him, dude, you just can't say that. You have to pretend like that phrase doesn't exist. And then, he stepped in it again with how he said, well, we're not going to teach this particular history, including these other topics that he didn't think had anything to do with black history, but he did not have a textbook in hand when he was doing this, saying, like, for instance, the high school history textbook that I had back in, 1980. He didn't hold that up and say, this has accurate history up until this point. No, it did not include things like Rosewood, the Ocoee Massacre, what happened in Oklahoma City with those, folks there. And that was saved for a later time when folks were a little bit more mature and could handle those things better, possibly. I'm not sure what the reason is for skipping over that in high school history. But he didn't have a solution in hand, and he allowed himself to get hammered for it. And this is twice that he stepped wrong with his messaging. And, again, he shepherded us well through COVID, and he did a great job as our governor. And I'm really happy that he's our governor, and I'm happy to have him stay our governor. But I really got issue with how he steps in it. I really do. Now, a guy like Tim Scott, if DeSantis had reached out to Tim Scott and said, hey, I just really screwed up my messaging, how can I fix this? Did he do that? I don't know what he does behind back channels. But who's ever advising this guy is not giving him the, man on the street, blue collar, from the cheap seats, point of view. And that's, you can hammer him for it. But he's our governor. And, we've had great governors here. We have Lawton Childs. We have Bob Graham. They both had presidential aspirations. Personally, I think Lawton Childs was stabbed in the back by Tip O'Neill and Chris Matthews. That's a different conversation. But what we don't have in America is we don't have an equal time clause anymore. We don't have a fairness doctrine anymore. Those were sunsetted. And, guys like you in, newstainment, nobody's obligated to give the other side of the story. So anybody can take anything and run with it and hammer any candidate they choose to. And the sunsetting of those things saw where we are today with our media going nuts and always hammering people. No alternate point of view ever has to be put out there. And anybody who's my age remembers the fairness doctrine, the equal time clause. They remember when Sean Hannity had Alan Combs. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't want your job to go away because we have a fairness doctrine. I think that you would survive and thrive in the media world with that just because of the way you present yourself. However, that's something that we need as well. Ron DeSantis, you get on message with it. And, he's also got to get off this thing of where he thinks it's okay to tell women that they don't have a choice about their lives before they even know they're pregnant. 6 weeks, 12 weeks, that's just crazy. People can go to heaven or hell based upon what they do and how they do it.
Yep.
And and how I feel about this particular issue, I'm going to leave how I feel out of it because that's, I can't
I will say, Mark, of all of the things that, and you've given us a long list to contemplate here, but of everything that you just mentioned, I truly believe that the abortion matter is going to be the most difficult for DeSantis to get around, to securing a nomination and to securing a win to the White House. I think there are going to be plenty of female voters that aren't going to be down for the restrictions we have in Florida and potential restrictions that we could see across the country.
He shot himself in the foot. You're absolutely right. And on top of that, when we look at what on the national thing, what people want as far as in terms of choice, he absolutely he's not with the general public, and that Supreme Court decision coming down right before the midterms, obviously, affected how the midterms turned out.
You
People
bet.
got out and voted one way.
I think Republicans
the man who I call Cheeto Head, as much as he did a good job and a lot of business sense, he always had to stick his thumb in somebody's eye. He always had to run his mouth, and as soon as he runs his mouth, announcing right before the midterms, that is why common sense conservatives did not carry the day in the midterms.
Wait, Mark, hang on a second. Hang on. Mark, hang on just a second. Hang on. So I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you say Cheeto Head, you're talking about Donald Trump, yes?
I try not to say his name because it makes people mad.
Right. So here's where I'm confused. If you don't like Ron DeSantis and you don't like Donald Trump, are you a Republican?
I am a blue dog Democrat from back in the day. I am a conservative Democrat. They say we don't exist. I am a Lawton Childs Democrat. I am a Bob Graham Democrat. The people of the Democrat Party kicked conservative Democrats out of the party.
So who do you like of the slate of candidates now, and for that matter, consider left and right, so Republicans and Democrats, of the slate of candidates that are available right now, who do you like?
Well, up until the other day, and I didn't see the argument because I don't watch Fox, I really think a lot of Harold Ford. I really think a lot of Tim Scott. I really think there are a lot of people in the Republican Party who are actually conservative Democrats, but our only choices are pushed away from the Democrat candidates because, and notice I don't say Democratic, I say the Democrat candidates. We are forced to be elsewhere. I love Ron DeSantis personally. I think he steps in it and needs somebody who can just say, hey, say this, don't say this. And a lot of things would be fixed. I think that he would be a unbelievable president of these United States. I think he'd do a great job. he's got to get past a lot of things, and he's hampered himself in a number of ways. And, maybe this time around it isn't going to work for him. I hope it does. I really like the guy because I don't think that the mistakes he has made verbally are where he's really coming from. And because those were mistakes. He spoke wrong. He didn't think to have a book in his hand with the solution saying, use this textbook instead. We've got some good folks out there. But again, I am forced into the Republican Party. Voting for billionaires is not really what I was brought up to do. I am a national security conservative. I am a religious conservative as well, but that's my business. It's not yours. I only say that as a side so people know, okay, who's talking here. The country's been at war for how long? Secure the border. I am definitely a national security conservative. I am also a financial conservative, but I don't vote for billionaires. It's when you got that kind of money, you're supposed to, the good book says stewardship. Does it not?
Yeah.
So, so as an old school Blue Dog Democrat, now, if I'm not mistaken, you did not grow up here in Florida. You may not know the legacy of Lawton Giles or Bob Graham.
I did not grow up here in Florida.
And Lawton Childs, if I'm not mistaken, he's from Winter Haven, Florida, Polk County. He walked the state of Florida.
Mark,
in a wore-out country.
I hate to cut you off. You've been a great caller. You've got a lot to contribute. I love where you're coming from. Thank you so much for checking in and for listening to the Joe Kelley Show. I really do appreciate that. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Or hit me up in the open mic.
Joe, we're already paying for all the illegal immigrants that are in the U.S. We're already paying for all the money that we're sending to Ukraine. So what the heck is a few more dollars for Americans who got an education?
Yeah. So we're talking about this the student loan debt issue, and that President Biden today signed off on more student loan debt forgiveness, repaying student loan debt with federal dollars rather than the students who actually got the education. And honestly, I'm a little surprised that thus far, at least, y'all seem to be okay with that.
I really don't understand the big deal about why people don't like the bailing out of the student loans, because our government uses our tax dollars to bail out all these big corporations all the time, and nobody really says anything about it. And the student loan forgiveness is only up to $10,000 per individual, so it's really not making a dent in anything.
I think Mike Rowe was the guy who really summed it up best as the problem with the college loan repayment from federal taxpayer dollars, and that is, think about the guy with the tractor. Think about the guy that has a family farm and needs to buy a $100,000 or $1 million tractor, and nobody's repaying that guy. Meanwhile, we got people that are making dumb decisions about their educations. They're signing up for college degrees that are useless, that there are no jobs that would pay you enough money to repay your student loan in a degree that just doesn't have any high-paying jobs. If we're going to do loan forgiveness, I would rather do loan forgiveness of people who made sound financial decisions. And getting a liberal arts degree in, whatever, women's studies is not a sound financial decision for making profits in the future. It's just dumb. It's virtue signaling, and that's all it is. And to spend $100,000, $150,000 on virtue signaling a college education that can pay you nothing should not be something that the rest of Americans have to pay for. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Or use the open mic in the WDBO app.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, the three big things you need to know.
3. Netflix is releasing the first trailer for part 1 of Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. The film will follow a young woman who searches for warriors to fight off an impending invasion. Part 1 is called A Child of Fire and debuts on Netflix on December 23rd. At least one child is dead after a school bus crash in Ohio this morning on the first day of classes there. The Ohio State Highway Patrol said it happened on State Route 41 just outside of Columbus. Over 20 other kids were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Former Trump attorney John Eastman is now out on bond after turning himself in as part of the 2020 election interference case in Georgia. Eastman is one of former President Trump's 18 co-defendants facing criminal charges. Trump is expected to be booked in the same Fulton County jail on Thursday.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Breaking news to lively debates, covering the issues that matter to you.
I make it a point to listen to Joe Kelley when I need to fully understand what's happening in the news.
Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
844-580-WDBO. Jeffrey is in Orlando. You're on the Joe Kelley Show. Hello, Jeffrey. How are you?
Yes, I'm here. I'm in Orlando from the Freedom State.
Yeah, where are you from?
Yeah.
It says here you're new to the country. Where are you from?
I'm from Jamaica.
Jamaica. We're glad to have you here, Jeffrey.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yes, I plan to go with the President Trump. He's a great leader. He demonstrates great leadership skill. I believe that you should have some protection for the border.
Oh, yeah, absolutely so, yes.
Yeah, you need protection for the border, right?
Oh, yes.
The thing that I don't like, the Republican, they need to come together. It's not time now for us to separate. It's time for us to come together and build together so when 2024, we can go forward.
And hopefully after the GOP primary, the Republicans will come together. I mean, that is kind of how it usually works. As the Republicans will come together after the GOP primary is settled. But, of course, that's yet to be seen. We'll have to wait and see on that. Coming up, I don't know if you guys caught the story, but a man in Sanford shoots and kills a black bear, a mama bear with 2 cubs. He didn't shoot the cubs. He shot the bear, defending his dog. The bear was evidently going after his dog. I'm going to have, I think, what is going to be a controversial take on this, and I'll have it for you coming up right after the news at 6 o'clock. Stay with us here on the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Triple Team Traffic.
All right, I have been monitoring something on the Turnpike for quite a while. It was in between cameras, but I think I found it. Looks like 3 left lanes are shut down on the Turnpike northbound just before 429. It's just out of the camera's reach here, between 2 of them. But it looks like only 1 right lane is open. That means there's a big mess right now as you make your way northbound on the Turnpike. It starts just after I-4. That's where you're going to find the brake lights, past the Turkey Lake Service Plaza and all the way up to 429. It's also affecting 408 westbound, and then it's very, very heavy as well into downtown on I-4 in both directions, and I-4 eastbound starting at 434 all the way up into Volusia County. So it's a rough day. This report sponsored by America's Best Contacts and Eyeglasses. Look sharp, shop smart. Visit America's Best for a comprehensive eye exam plus 2 pair of glasses starting at just $79.95. Book an exam at americasbest.com. That's americasbest.com. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Orlando's News and Talk. Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. Join the conversation now by using the open mic in the WDBO app. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
All right, I have what I think is going to be an unpopular opinion I want to share about something. So I don't know if you guys heard this, but in Sanford Friday night, a dude in Sanford shot a black bear. And according to a report from Fox 35, the guy fired 16 shots at the bear. 16 shots at a bear. and he injured the bear, but in 16 shots, he didn't kill the bear. How big of a threat was the bear if you fired 16 times and you didn't hit it well enough to kill the bear? The FWC had to ultimately euthanize the bear due to the severity of the injuries that she had sustained during the shooting. The bear had a couple of cubs. The cubs do not appear to have been hurt. And according to the Florida Wildlife Commission, FWC, they're old enough to forage for food on their own. The homeowner reportedly shot the bear in order to protect a dog. The FWC said late Monday that no charges or fines have been levied at this time. Now, in the state of Florida, black bears are protected. It's illegal to kill one without an FWC-issued hunting permit. The only exception is in order to protect human life. By this guy's own admission, he was trying to protect a dog. So you killed one furry four-legged animal to protect another furry four-legged animal. In the absence of additional information, based upon what I have in front of me, I think that the guy should be criminally charged. And frankly, I think he will be criminally charged. If you're shooting a bear to protect a dog, that's inappropriate. It's unethical. It's illegal. If you're shooting a bear to protect a human life, that's different. Human lives are valued more than a dog's life. 844-580-WDBO, 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. Do you think that this homeowner should be criminally charged for killing a black bear? Paul Cross.
Is it the black bear that is really affecting you as well? I mean, what if an alligator had the dog in its mouth? Would you shoot the alligator?
Alligators aren't protected the same as bears, are they?
No, they used to be, but not anymore. You're right.
Yeah.
So it's just about the protected animal. Again, I'm struggling with that a little bit because here a lot of people will view their pets as like part of the family. It's not just a dog. It's not just a cat. It's part of the family.
I get
and
that.
You got to protect it at all costs. So it's a no-win situation all the way around.
You know, and what it doesn't indicate is, and again, I would love to have a video of this. I don't have all the information, and new information could come out tomorrow that'll cause me to change my mind. So my opinion is based purely on all the information that we have at this moment, and it is an incomplete story. But based upon the information I have here, I think it was a bad shooting, firing 16 shots. I'm sorry, but if the bear was a threat, the bear would be close enough that 16 shots would kill the bear. How far away was the bear that you fired 16 shots and you still didn't kill the bear?
And they usually get scared away just on the loud noise alone.
Yeah, one shot alone, the crack of the gun. And it doesn't say what kind of gun. I don't know if it's a shotgun, if it is a rifle, if it is a pistol. I haven't the slightest idea. I'd love to know more about this story. But again, sometimes we only have what we have. And this is all we have at the moment about this particular case. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. Mike, is joining us from Harmony. Hey, Mike, you're on the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. How are you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Good.
Well, you got to get all the information. I mean, if this black bear was coming at that dog while the owner's out there, he could have hurt the owner too. All right.
Right. But by the owner's own admission, he was doing it to protect his dog, not himself.
Well, that's what he said. Of course, he's going to protect his dog. But if that black bear is coming at him at a pace where he could get to the dog, he might get to the owner too. So
but
I don't know about criminal. I don't know about criminal charges against that owner on that issue.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. I'm glad you called, 844-580-WDBO. Also, we're talking about President Biden. President Biden bails out more student loan borrowers even after the Supreme Court has rejected it. And remarkably, a number of open mics say that's a good thing.
I got a comment here for the guy that doesn't think that $10,000 is a really big deal. I worked my ass off to pay for college and had zero debt. Where's my $10,000? For working my ass off to pay for my students. I didn't have a loan. I paid for it out of pocket as I went along, working 2 jobs and going to school. For you lazy asses right now who think that you deserve $10,000.
Sir, if you could stop talking about people's asses, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for that. 844-580-WDBO. Or hit me up in the open mic in the WDBO app.
So basically, you want to tell people what to study?
Did I say that? Did I ever say that I want to tell people what they can study?
Now? Is that how you want this country to be now run and remembered? You want to tell people and students and kids what they should study?
Did I say that?
What is the big deal about the government bailing out students? You got to stop that, man.
I've got to stop that, man. Well, look, if I'm paying for it, if I'm paying for their student loans, shouldn't I have the right to say what kind of education they could get? If they're paying their own loans, I don't care what kind of education they get. Doesn't matter to me. They can study, basket weaving. It doesn't matter if they're paying their own loans. But if I'm paying for their loans, if you're paying for their loans, shouldn't we have a say in it? Look, I don't want. I've got my own kids. I don't need to manage everybody else's kids. But if we're going to be paying for it with taxpayer dollars, I feel like the taxpayers should have a say in it. But no, my point was not that we should pick what majors students can study. What students can study. I don't care what students study. Let's go to Mike in Lake Mary. You're on the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Joe. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
Just wanted to comment real quick on shooting in Sanford of the bear.
Yes.
Maybe he shot 16 times with non-lethal shots to try to scare the bear away. Like, instead of trying to kill it, because you did say that the FWC had to euthanize the bear, correct?
They did, but because the bear was
in the air or shot near him, or maybe shot him, in the backside.
Yeah, they said that the bear was injured. They euthanized the bear due to the severity of the injuries. So he did shoot the bear. There's no doubt about that. He just didn't fatally shoot the bear.
Yeah, and maybe that's where the charges aren't being drawn up then because of that, instead of because he wasn't intending to kill, more scare away.
Yeah, maybe so, Mike.
I just thought about that and thought I'd call in and let you know.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Drive safely. Let's go to Kissimmee. Luis is joining us on the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Hello, Luis.
Hi, Joe. Hi to everybody who's listening. I want to give my opinion about the bear. You said the guy shouldn't kill the bear because it was a dog and no human being. But I'm gonna give you a question. I'm gonna ask a question.
Okay.
A police dog. If somebody shoot and kill a police dog, that person get jail because of that.
It's a dog. First, let me throw this out here. First, I bet you do an amazing impression of an Austrian person. First, am I right?
I don't know.
Am I right?
Maybe, who knows?
Yes, I think I'm right about that. And secondly, police dogs have more protections than garden variety dogs, and I got a bit of a problem with that, quite frankly, because oftentimes they'll treat if you harm a police dog, they're going to treat it the same as if you harmed a police human. And I'm sorry, but I don't put dogs and humans in the same category.
Same with me.
So I think humans are much more important, much more valuable than dogs. Don't get me wrong. I love dogs. I have a dog, and I know that the next question is going to be, well, Joe, what if it was your dog that was getting attacked by a bear? And I've got to be very careful because if my wife is listening, technically it's my stepdog. So if I say I would let the bear take the stepdog, then I will be sleeping on the couch later tonight, and I'd rather not sleep on the couch later tonight.
Even if she don't listen, and somebody going to send the audio to her.
You're absolutely right. Someone's going to tell on me.
Good night.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your calling. 844-580-WDBO. Will is in Orlando. Hey, Will, how are you?
Very well this afternoon. And you?
I'm great.
On the bear for dog does not compute. Prosecute to the fullest. And I'm just curious, what was he shooting it with, a BB gun?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. And maybe we'll get more information by this time tomorrow, and we can have a fuller story and a richer conversation about it. But, yeah, shooting 16 times. I mean, I'm concerned. I don't know what the neighborhood looks like. It could be, a whole lot of houses in a small area, or this guy could be out in the sticks in the middle of nowhere, Sanford. But, man, shooting 16 shots in a city is dangerous anyway because you don't know where those bullets are going to land.
Well, this ain't TV and Hollywood. You don't ever shoot to wound, human or animal.
Absolutely, Will. Thank you so much. I appreciate you listening.
Cocaine bear, might I add? Maybe the bear found something in the woods.
You've been hung on cocaine bear for 2 nights in a row now, Paul Cross.
That's because I walked out of it. It was so violent. I can only imagine what this was like. But yeah, if the bear, let's just say the bear was hit that many times, which I seriously doubt, that would be amazing that it would still be going. That's cocaine bear right there.
Well, how many times was 50 Cent shot? 50 Cent. Hey, Google, how many times was 50 Cent shot?
On the website hiphophero.com, they say 50 Cent was indeed shot 9 times in 2000.
So he's shot 9 times and he has lived. Hey, Google, stop.
Okay, so if 50 Cent attacked your dog, would you not?
Yo, dog.
Never mind. I'll stop right there.
Yo, dog.
I'm out.
If 50 Cent attacked my dog, if 50 Cent attacked the cocaine bear and then they got shot. All right, hang on. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic and the WDBO app. We'll continue. Coming up in a moment. By the way, on the way next, something that Publix is going to do away with that some of you guys might be a little displeased about. We'll have that. And speaking about abusing animals, somebody abused a baby dolphin, which is honestly heartbreaking. And it happened here, of course, in Florida. We'll have the details of that animal abuse coming up in just a couple of minutes. Don't nobody go nowhere. I'm Joe Kelley. You're listening to The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Talk and discussion on the latest breaking national news.
Crude oil prices continue to fall.
Local news.
You're not going to have Disney have its own government in Central Florida.
And stories that matter to you. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let your voice be heard on The Joe Kelley Show.
I don't know if you know this, but Publix has, for years and years and years, sold cakes every time that a hurricane was coming towards Florida. And it would say, Hurricane Irma, go away. And it would be these cute cakes. Well, Publix has now announced that they will no longer make hurricane cakes. That they're not sensitive. It's insensitive to make hurricane cakes. So they're not going to make hurricane. No more hurricane cakes, guys. And then out of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, a photo has appeared of a woman and some others holding a baby dolphin out of the water. It's not exactly clear where the photo was taken, but a marine biologist says his first reaction to seeing the picture was horror. Harassing or feeding wild dolphins is against federal law. You know the problem with that is, though? The problem is that dolphins have that smile on their face at all times. Their faces always look like they're smiling. And I saw the picture of the woman holding the little baby dolphin, and I was like, ooh, that dolphin looks like he's having fun. He's smiling. He's having a blast. But, of course, we know the dolphin wasn't having fun. And the dolphin is probably dead because they took it out of the water and they're holding it up, passing it around, taking pictures of it, harassing it. If you don't know, as I said, it is against the law, and it's just an all-around bad idea to harass dolphins or any other wildlife like that.
Sorry, brother. I got to disagree with you on that. My dogs are like my kids, and I would do anything to protect them.
Yeah, I get that. A lot of people think their dogs are like their kids, and sure, I love my dog. I love every dog I've ever had. But I don't write the laws in Florida. And the law in Florida says you can kill a black bear in self-defense of a human being, not in self-defense of a dog. And by his own admission, he was trying to protect his dog by shooting the bear. Thus, it's against the law. It's a bad shooting. We're also talking about whether or not it's appropriate for the federal tax dollars to repay people's college loans.
Hey, Joe, just wanted to make a comment about the college situation. In my company, you're not allowed to advance into management without a college degree. You can have a college degree in women's studies or basket weaving, but you have to have a college degree in order to make it in management. So I do think some kids go the easy route, but it pays off in the long run, and they do have very successful careers, not based on their major.
Pays off in the long run with very successful careers. Well, that sounds like someone who could pay back that loan now, doesn't it? You made an excellent point. I think you made my point, that they should pay back their own loans. 844-580-WDBO.
Red alert from the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center.
Okay, well, we've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is they have now reopened 3 of the 4 lanes on the Turnpike northbound at 429. Okay, so only the left lane is blocked. The bad news is we still have a monster of a backup. This is just about 7.5 miles. It's at a crawl from just after I-4. It's about 52 minutes now to get you through this. It's also affecting the 408 westbound starting before Good Homes Road. Again, the Turnpike northbound is a mess. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. At Staples, school savings are always in session, from art supplies and essentials to the latest tech, in stock and price low. School on, save on at your local Staples store. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. In-depth segments on topics that matter to Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
I love your show every night. You're doing great, bud.
All right, we're going to get back to more of your comments about the black bear shooting. In Sanford, a dude shot a black bear, which it's against the law to shoot a black bear. They're protected species. It's against the law unless you're protecting human life. By his own admission, the guy who shot 16 times at the bear, it's unclear how many times he actually hit the bear, but by his own admission, he said he was trying to protect his dog. Well, that doesn't fly. The FWC said late last night that no charges or fines have been levied at this time. I would not be surprised if the FWC revises that and fines him or charges him or something for shooting that bear. The bear was a mama bear, had 2 cubs. The mama bear was probably protecting its 2 cubs, and that's what you'd expect a mama bear to do. So I'll get back to more of your phone calls coming up in a moment. But first, I, honest to goodness, never in a million years would have imagined a scenario under which I would have a legitimate reason to talk about Baba Yaga. I honestly hadn't the slightest idea that Baba Yaga existed outside of the John Wick universe.
He once was an associate of ours. We called him Baba Yaga. The boogeyman? Well, John wasn't exactly the boogeyman. He was the one you sent to kill the boogeyman. Well, John is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. Something you know very little about.
Baba Yaga. So there is a report now that Baba Yaga has been snatching wounded Russian soldiers off of the battlefield in Ukraine, Chechen fighters under the command of a Vladimir Putin crony claim that Ukraine has been abducting wounded Russian soldiers from the battlefield using giant drones equipped with pincers. A member of the battalion quoted by Russian media is calling the drones Baba Yaga, an ogress or witch from Slavic folklore who snatches and eats children. The Baba Yaga. I know a thing or two about drones. I'm an FAA licensed drone pilot. I love to fly drones. It's a fun hobby. It's fun for me. Do you know how big that drone would have to be to pick up a soldier off of a battlefield? I mean, I'm just going to assume that a Ukrainian or that a Russian soldier is probably at least 150 pounds, probably 200 pounds. Add his gear, probably another 80 pounds. So we're talking about 250 some odd pounds being picked up by a drone. Do you know how big a drone would have to be to pick up? And then, I'm sorry, but I imagine Toy Story with the little, what's the claw machine at the arcade when he reaches down with the pincer and you grab the little teddy bear that's worth like 30 cents and you get it down the chute. I would love to see if, in fact, there is a drone that is picking up wounded Russian troops off of the battlefield. And I'd love to know where they're being taken, what's being done with them. That would be kind of interesting. What a great movie that might potentially make. All right, 844-580-WDBO. People want to talk about the bear. Let's talk about the bear. John in Daytona, you're on WDBO. Welcome.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay. There's two sides to that story about the bear. The owner wasn't in danger because a dog would run toward the bear.
Wait, do you know? Wait.
Defending her cubs, like you said.
Do you know details of this that I don't know?
Reckless use of a firearm, because all of us that have guns wouldn't just fire 17 or 16 shots or 10 shots. You know, so more than likely it was a dog, because a bear with cubs wouldn't come close to an animal or a person. I've been around them too long, but the dog ran to the bear. And so that's my theory. And it might be a reckless handling gun charge.
And if that's the case, do we not have leash laws? I mean, should the dog not have been on a leash? I don't think John can hear me. I thought he was kidding at first. Now I think he was telling the truth. I don't think he can hear me. Let's go to Altamont. Joe is on the Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe, you must be a good guy with a name like that, right?
I must be, yeah.
Hey, Joe, here's the problem that I have with the bear story. The owner says that the bear attacked the dog. Well, the problem is, what does he mean by attacking? We don't know. Was he looking at the dog? Was he running at the dog? Did he claw the dog? Did he have the dog? So you know what? And I agree with you. It's like, how do we know what the bear was doing? In his eyes, he was, quote, attacking the dog. Well, what does that mean, right?
Yeah, I don't know. And like I said, hopefully by this time tomorrow, we'll have more information. And I think you, like me, are a rational person and can evaluate the new information and thus evaluate your opinion on it based upon the new information. And hopefully we'll learn more by tomorrow at this time. One would certainly hope. And a couple of open mics about that.
Yes, this is in regards to the bear incident. Quick questions. Do you really think that after that bear was done with the dog, with the taste of blood in his mouth, was it really just going to go away and not thinking about attacking any human being nearby?
Well, I am not able to channel the emotions and feelings and thought process of a bear. But if a bear has his cubs or her cubs there, I would think her paramount responsibility is to protect the cubs. And if she thought that the dog posed a threat to the cubs, then a bear would take out the dog, I would imagine. But just because the dog or the bear has blood in his mouth, I don't know that would suddenly make the bear, want to go after the human. I mean, I haven't the slightest idea.
I know I'm not the only one listening who
thinks that dogs are better than people.
Well, yeah, that's that old adage of, all right, right now in a pond is your dog and a total stranger human drowning. You can only save one. Which person do you save? Do you save the stranger that is drowning, or do you save your dog? The right answer is you save the stranger and you let your dog drown. I don't want to say most people, but a lot of people would pick their dog over a stranger human. I really just put more value in humans than I do in animals. I think humans are of greater value than animals. Even animals that we love, humans to me are always paramount. They always come first, even if it's a cocaine bear. All right, 844-580-WDBO. Look for the Joe Kelley Show wherever you get your podcasts. If you ever miss a minute, you can get caught up. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Red alert from the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center.
Crash on the turnpike before 429. 3 of 4 lanes now open. Only that far left lane is closed, but traffic is still really a mess for over 6.5 miles now as you make your way northbound just after I-4. Still going to take you 53 minutes to get from that point all the way to the 429, but eventually it's going to get better because you can see traffic in the pattern here since they've just opened up those lanes. It's getting back up to speed. We also have a crash on Goldenrod Road northbound at the 528. The right lane is blocked. It's also affecting the 528 westbound exit ramp to Goldenrod. Report sponsored by Haverty's Furniture. Hey, Orlando, it's time for another big weekend at Haverty's. Right now, save up to $1,000. The only thing better than finding that perfect piece your home's been needing is paying less to do it. Haverty's, they furnish happiness. From the WDBO Triple Team Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. News, weather, traffic, all the things you want on your drive home. Plus, Joe Kelley being, well, Joe Kelley. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
I am so glad that you are joining us here on WDBO, the Joe Kelley Show. Don't forget, coming up Friday, I'll be broadcasting the entire day, all day long. I'm going to be broadcasting live at Urban Air Trampoline at Adventure Park in Altamont Springs, right next to Cranes Roost Park. I'm going to be out front in the heat. And for 10 hours straight. I'll actually be out there for about 12 hours, but 10 hours continuously on the radio. Friday, raising money and awareness about Make-A-Wish, granting wishes to children right here in Central Florida with critical illnesses. And man, for all of you guys who donated last year, for everybody who donated last year, you're going to hear the families that benefited from your donations last year. Because these are all kids who have had their wishes granted in the last year, for the most part. And you'll get to hear proof positive of where your money went, how your money was spent, and the difference your money makes in a child's life, in a family's life. I love Make-A-Wish. It's near and dear to my heart, always has been. And I can't wait for you guys to meet these families coming up on Friday. All right, let's talk about killing bears. 844-580-WDBO's good to St. Cloud. Rick is on WDBO. Hey, Rick, how are you?
I'm well, sir. Yourself?
Good.
Well, okay. I'm a little nervous, so I appreciate your patience.
All right.
I agree with what you said. We don't have all the information of what's going on here, but we do have enough information to make some dissertations regarding this. Who shoots 16 times?
That was my thought.
Seriously?
Also. Yeah.
And he's probably what it was, and I don't know. We'll know more going forward. It was probably an AR-15. They commonly hold, the magazines hold 15 rounds, and he had one in the chamber, so he had 16 rounds, and he went out and shot 16 times at an animal.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Rick. I would agree. And, unless he's got time to reload, if he's got a, 6-shooter revolver, he'd have to reload, 3 times to be able to shoot 16 shots there. So, yeah, it probably, I don't want to say it's an AR-15, probably a rifle with a good-sized magazine. Who fires 16 shots at a bear and doesn't kill it? It must not have been that big of a threat if you're shooting 16 shots and you don't even manage to kill the bear. I'm Joe Kelley. The third hour, the Sean Hannity Show, on the way next.